Oh, now I have sound because I'm a genius. Alright, for some reason the scenes didn't work. I have sound now, I believe. And hello, Johnny Drive-By. Glad to see you swinging by for a minute. I'm a genius when it comes to using these internet things. Yeah, I should have been smarter about that, but I wasn't. Oh well. So let's kick it right back to like here. So hey, this is the real starting line because I don't know how to push buttons. And again, hello, Johnny. And so as I was saying, I'm Reverend JR, and we're gonna look at some news and stuff today. I was delayed because of an electricity salesman guy or something. So we'll see how that goes. I don't care. Cheaper electricity is fine or something. Whatever. But I came across this website today, and it's Inverse, and this is their culture section. And they had the most wonderful title for a news article I've ever read. Airlines overbook flights for an economic reason. Now let me tell you, that surprised me because I didn't figure money had anything to do with it. Thank you, Inverse. If you try really hard, you might become the next BuzzFeed. The video of a scuffle on a United Airlines flight has gone viral. Yeah, we knew this. This is about a day ago, so, you know. Thanks, Corey. United Airlines, already reviled for its less than stellar record of customer treatment, made news again after a passenger was dragged off a plane. I don't know if they actually dragged him off the plane, though. When he refused to give up his seat on an overbooked flight. This guy is going to be the next Rosa Parks, I think, fighting for what everyone thinks they should be fighting for. More money before they're kicked out of something they paid for. At least, I presume that's the thing they're talking about. And do feel free to chime in the comments if you have anything at all of value to add. Everything is valuable. The video of the event has gone viral and has resulted in monumental outrage directed at United Airlines. Yeah. You smash a man's face, people don't like you. Which just moments before the incident had been asking passengers to voluntarily. Right, they were. And they were giving them like $800 or something. And a few people took it, and one guy's like, no, it's not enough. A completely logical response. Give up their seats to make room for some United employees. The incident has caused many to wonder, rightly, why the companies like United purposely overbook flights. Yeah, and there have been plenty of good videos about it on YouTube. Wendover Productions actually has a pretty good one that came out recently. It's a practice that has caused at best some inconvenience for many over the years. So yeah, I mean, yeah, overbooking flights kind of sucks. I don't want you. Wow, they've got really crap advertisements too. Anyway, why the overbook? Because it's perfectly legal, right? If something's legal, you ought to do it, right? That's the complete litmus test for if anything is ethical or not, is if there is not a law disabling you from doing so. Now, we all know the airlines are in it to make a buck, and if they can make a few more off of people who aren't actually going to fly when they say they are, good for them, I guess. But the problem is, this wasn't actually an overbooked flight, as Philip DeFranco was talking about. This was a flight that they booked out 100%, and then tried to put employees on by kicking off paying customers. It's completely different Inverse, and you would have known this if you'd looked into it just a bit more and done that hard-hitting investigative journalism before jumping to a massive conclusion like this. Of course, you've got the video there. I'm not going to watch it again because, well, actually, yeah. Why not? Click, click, click. Let's not listen to it, though, because that you already know what it sounds like. And you get the agents working for whatever. The guy's like, no, and he's got these people manhandling him. And they smash his face on a headrest. Good public policy. Right? And then other stuff happened and they didn't do any actual journalism. Wait, and then the next article just runs on into it? That doesn't make any sense at all, Inverse. Your website is kind of crappy. Which is why we're going to look at another article from Inverse about McDonald's and the fact that they shouldn't bring back Szechuan sauce for the Mulan remake. And of all the things to bitch about, this is one of the least consequential I think I've ever read about. But let's try to bear with it, as our irony meter doesn't stick to magnets or something. I don't know. I only pretend to know things. But I'm pretending really well because some of you agree with me, or something like that. Sorry, Rick and Morty fans. The sauce is as contentious as it is delicious. Yeah, I didn't say either of those right, but I don't care, because your name's Yasmin Tayag. And you're talking about races. Because as we all know, races aren't real. They're really not. They're just different skin colors. That's like pretending that a blue tick hound is different from another kind of hound. No, they're all dogs. They're all the same thing, basically. They're different breeds, but even humans aren't as diverse as dogs. So, yeah, skin color is the same as hair color. We don't say you're the race of black-haired people, or you're the race of blonde-haired people, because that would sound stupid. But for some reason, when it's the skin color instead of the hair color or the eye color, we call it race. I don't get it on. Johnny says, right on, Szechuan, LOL. I'm laughing on the inside because the Keystone keeps me warm. That's not an advertisement for Keystone Light. I just really enjoy drinking it. Maybe they'll start paying me to say that. But I doubt it. Especially given my content. Nobody wants to advertise with me. Maybe PBR. They're pretty low class. After a 19-year period of obscurity, McDonald's Szechuan sauce was thrust back into the cultural spotlight. Way to make it so rough. It was thrust right back into it. I bet you're making those sauce packets moist. Come on. After being featured in the Rick and Morty Season 3 premiere on April 1st. Also known as April Fool's Day. That's right, we're talking about a meme. A television meme that was on, I think it's Adult Swim. I haven't watched Adult Swim in a long time. Back when I watched it, Cowboy Bebop was still the cool thing. But, you know, new and old fans of the sauce, there can't be new fans of a sauce that hasn't existed in 10 years. 98. Yeah, 10 years, let's say. You're not a new fan of the sauce, you're a new fan of the meme. It's a saucy meme. Which originally graced McDonald's menus when Disney's Mulan premiered in 1998. At the time, I was in like 4th grade, 5th grade maybe. That was like one of my favorite movies. I even got the soundtrack because I liked Stevie Wonder at the time. Like, it was cool. Went to Toys R Us to get it on a cassette tape. But yeah, that's enough about the past. I like metal. But I liked the Mulan soundtrack because I was a kid and it was cool. Noted that the upcoming release of the live-action remake of the beloved animated film would present the perfect opportunity to bring back the sauce. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good marketing ploy on McDonald's part. I mean, I like a good, there's no good food at McDonald's, but I do enjoy a McDouble once in a while, or a McChicken. The McChicken could stand to be a bit spicier, in my opinion. Out when I lived in California, I would go to the Jack in the Box. And those places are shit compared to McDonald's. So I guess by comparison, yeah, get yourself one of those good old McDoubles. Maybe we can go back to the 1980s and we can get one of the birthday cakes and one of the pizzas McDonald's used to make. Even when I was little in the early 90s, you could still get them. But enough about nostalgia, because doing so, bringing back the sauce would be a mistake. Yeah, McDonald's making money would be like a mistake. A big mistake, McDonald's. Don't make money on this. That's not what your corporation is about. Instead, be like United and beat people out of your stores, because that'll make you more money. No, on second thought, stick with the sauce. In fact, rolling out Szechuan sauce with the original Mulan was itself problematic. No, it wasn't. It's just fucking sauce. Like, it even says Szechuan. You know that it's not just bland Chinese. It's going to be Szechuan. That's a fun word to say. Though critics were less aware, there's nothing to be critical of. It's a fucking sauce. Then, of how the film collapsed millennia of complex Chinese history and culture into a flat, oversimplified pastiche. That's right, McDonald's are such dictators that when they make a sauce, that's the only way anyone can ever learn about Chinese culture. Right, Inverse? Again, like I say, if you try really hard, you can almost become as bad as the next BuzzFeed. But until then, you're still worse. Because you actually think you're serious. Right? Maybe they just cared less. They're a corporation out to make money, and they made money. I don't know what they need to care about. They're not like unethically harvesting the Szechuan sauce. There are other bigger complaints you could have with McDonald's than the fact that they put a name on their sauce that you think oversimplifies loads of culture. Do you think the Big Mac sauce is like deflating American culture in the same way? I'm so confused. Either way, it's not surprising that the country's elaborate cuisine and varied flavor profiles. You're talking about what is essentially teriyaki. And they threw the word Szechuan on it to make it relevant to Mulan because of advertising deals. They're pointing out that Mulan exists and Disney made a movie about the ancient Chinese fairy tale. Literally showing Chinese culture and encouraging people to go see that movie, whether you agree with how Disney done it or not. And you're complaining that oversimplifies the culture, even though the movie has a strong female lead acting in a traditionally male role, and such things. But no, the sauce is the problem. Were likewise distilled. Yeah, the sauce probably was. It's teriyaki because that's got soy, and soy gets, distilled. Ha meta humor. Into catch-all sweet, spicy, sour Chinese condiment. It's almost like they do food or something, Inverse. It's almost like McDonald's does food and occasionally serves sauces with that food. Why are you not upset about Chinese restaurants calling themselves Chinese and then just mixing all the food together? And especially when those Chinese restaurants are run by actual Chinese and not actually cooking traditional Chinese fare. Do you think this is related? Inverse. I wonder, do you think there is any problem with real Chinese people coming here, making Americanized Chinese food and serving it to Americans? Is that also, downplaying the importance of Chinese culture? I don't think so. I think it's just food. And it's easy to call it Chinese. Because most of that style originates in China. In the same way, if the Chinese made a crappy hamburger and said this is basic American food, that they wouldn't be wrong. If they said the hamburger is American, they would generally be correct in the same way. Or if they said ketchup was America sauce, I don't see a problem with that. I don't understand how that minimizes our culture at all. I really don't. If you can point it out to me, that'd be great. Because I just ain't getting it. Anyway, it goes on like this for a while because they lack such self-awareness. Anyway, on that note, dealing with a lack of self-awareness, Let's go to BuzzFeed, everybody's favorite pile of shit. Bad restaurants, they say, are the biggest losers when minimum wage rises, study finds. So let's take a look at that, because it's probably correct. If your restaurant's bad and you can't make a lot of money at it, and the rate you gotta pay your employee goes up, guess what happens? You can't make the money to do it. And then the demand for your restaurant, because it's so low, you can't give no more supply. Restaurants with low ratings on Yelp are more likely to... Yelp. I didn't know people even used this thing. I thought it was a joke. But hey, it's good there's a correlation, causation kind of thing going on in real life. And I'm glad science actually works, even though BuzzFeed doesn't want to admit it half the time. Even though they'll use science whenever they like it, because special pleading is their favorite kind of pleading. Are more likely to close in cities with a rising minimum wage, researchers found. You just said that. You don't need it as your subtitle. Come on, BuzzFeed. Journalism and, stylistic choices. Letitia here. Letitia Miranda. That's 2 first names. Come on. You're appropriating male culture with those 2 first names, Letitia Miranda. You should be ashamed. No, you shouldn't, because that's just how things work. But that's not the point. You would make others feel ashamed for it. A minimum wage increase could be the final push that forces already low restaurants to close, according to a recently released study of Yelp data by researchers. At least they didn't say scientists. Researchers are indeed the people who go through and look for facts. Among Bay Area restaurants, a $1 increase in the minimum wage led to a 14% increase in the likelihood of 3.5-star restaurants. Wow, 3.5. Not even the bottom end. Suck it up, I guess. Closing their doors. Their inability to plan for these sort of things isn't really my problem. But had no impact on 5-star restaurants. Well, imagine that. Did we need a research study to tell us this? According to Harvard Business School, the 5-star restaurants are going to be paying them more to begin with. So the minimum wage isn't going to change their wage. Duh. I don't even go to 5-star restaurants and I know this. And according to those people from Harvard. Right. Overall, they found the dollar increase in the minimum wage increased the likelihood of a restaurant closing by 4% to 10%. So yeah, they're really likely to fail to begin with by 4%. This is just more likely to fail. Just a 1-star increase in rating on Yelp. Oh, they're talking about the Yelp ratings. Yeah, okay, same idea. The 5-star restaurants are probably going to be the ones that actually pay above minimum wage to all their employees. Makes a restaurant half as likely to go out of business. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Because if you got the 1-star increase, it's not as though you're going, oh, let's increase their stars so that they'll stay in business longer. Or decrease them and they'll go out of business faster. No, it has to do with people leaving real reviews talking about how they had experiences there. Which is what you'd expect. The ones with lower ratings, probably going to close first because they're probably shit. Just saying. Just saying. Luga told BuzzFeed News, they don't even have it in quotations, they're serious, that it is unclear why lower-rated restaurants are disproportionately affected by wage hikes. I'm telling you, it's very clear. If you're getting bad reviews, it's probably because people don't like you. And if people don't like you, you're probably not paying enough to your employees for them to actually make the $1 more an hour that they should have been making in the first place. And if you were actually paying them that, maybe you wouldn't have such low stars. Maybe we'll learn something, BuzzFeed. Maybe the truth is the correlation is reversed here. The causation, rather. Perhaps, they say, higher-rated restaurants already pay above minimum wage. That was my speculation. I haven't actually read this far yet. And are not affected by increases, she speculated. That'd be a real easy one to find out. Maybe in places that have 5 stars, they just get tipped more. And then the difference isn't so severe. Maybe. Also, they're more satisfied customers, maybe more willing to accept a price increase. Yeah, if you're not causing your customers to feel like they're jerks and causing them to give you 1-star ratings, they might be inclined to come back. Even if the price goes up. As low-rated businesses fail at higher rates than highly rated restaurants, regardless of the minimum wage. So wait, you're gonna throw out the entire minimum wage argument. You're saying the minimum wage doesn't even matter. We just thought we'd do a clickbait title because you're gullible and you'll click on it. Guilty as charged, BuzzFeed. You called me right out. A requirement to raise pay might just be the tipping point that drives them out of business. You're right, a requirement to pay them a fair wage. If that will drive them out of business, maybe they have no business being in business. Just a thought. More than 35,000 restaurants in the Bay Area were analyzed between 2008 and 2016. During that time, there were 21 raises in the minimum wage in that area. That's 8 years, 8, 16, 20, almost 3 times a year? Well, that's bizarre. Why are you raising it so much? The study comes as some policymakers consider a national increase in the minimum wage. Yeah. Labor rights laws have always been popular, haven't they? Remember back in the day when we required the unions to do this stuff? Interesting to think about, isn't it? But nobody wants to think about that. Unions are evil. Get rid of your workers' rights. Wait, what? No. Which has been 7.25% since 2009. Right, the federal minimum wage. The state wage here where I'm at is over that. On a state level, California and New York have approved boosting the minimum wage to $15. Well, yeah, California and New York have higher cost of living because there's way too many people living there. I mean, that's one way to look at it. California has over 1/7 of the entire population of the country, but only the land mass of approximately like 1/30. That's a lot of people in a state, even if it is a very large state. So just to deal with the infrastructure and all the costs of the high demand of living there, one would presume you need a higher wage to live there. While other states have sought out to preemptively ban any wage increase. Again, I'm in Ohio. We're kind of in the middle. Our wages go up every once in a while, but I'm lucky enough to work in a factory where it increases yearly based on cost of living and that kind of thing, independent of the minimum wage. But I've also worked fast food before, and it's not pretty. I'll much take the factory work over the fast food work. I've known people that work 3 fast food jobs, working as many hours a week as I do or more, who naturally are going to get less money because they're in fast food and it pays basically minimum wage. So the question then becomes, why do we want a national increase when the states are so diverse themselves? We don't need a $15 an hour minimum wage here in Ohio, generally speaking. But in California, I couldn't even live on twice that when I was there for the few months. That's why I don't live there anymore. Well, one of the reasons. By the researchers' estimates, a national minimum wage increase to $12 would close an additional 2% of restaurants. Well, that sucks. Or 12,000 businesses. That doesn't actually sound like that much, depending on whether it's spread out through the United States or whatever. Yelp said in a blog. But the vast majority of these closings would be restaurants in the bottom half of the quality distribution. Yeah, sucks to be you, I'm sorry. get a better job. I'm not even sure if you're for or against this. And 4.5 and 5-star restaurants would see virtually no closings. Right. If people are rating them highly, it means they're probably going back to them. And those restaurants can charge for the premium of actually being better. If you're not very good, you can't charge extra because you're good, because you're not. You see. If I suddenly told you McDonald's burgers were going to cost you 3 times what they do now, and it's not going to be that much for a wage increase. Let's think about $1, all right? $1 an hour. Let's say you're talking about your average fast food place on the low end, like, again, your Jack in the Box or whatever, and your one fast food employee, all right, serves or sells, let's say at the front till, 50 burgers an hour on a busy hour, and 10 burgers an hour on a slow hour. That's 30 burgers an hour. You want $1's worth of increase on the person's pay. That will cost the employer approximately $1.80. So 30 people would be about 6 cents a burger. Because 30 times 6 is $1.80. Just let that sink in for a moment. 6 cents a burger will wreck your shop. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for you for not wanting to raise that burger by 12 cents, let's say. And I'm supposed to feel bad when people don't want to come work for you because you're getting crap reviews because you're not treating your customers well and delivering them quality food. And they don't want to come back. But I'm supposed to feel bad about that. Again, it's the market. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist or anything. But there does have to be some responsibility to the people that open jobs that haven't done a good demographic study and then banked their entire existence upon it. You know what I mean? Like if I suddenly decide I'm going to open a fast food place right here in my tiny little town tomorrow and I go bankrupt because of it, that's nobody's fault but my own because it's not going to support it here. But that's just my thoughts. If you have a different one, please feel free to leave it. Because now we're going to talk about something that doesn't have to do with wages at all. We're going to look at answers in Genesis. And I just realized I didn't click the one I wanted. So let's look at the one from Ken Ham himself, the guy who blocked me. Sorry, that last bit got kind of boring. But I like dolphins. Dolphins! You ought to go check out Mr. Boffcakes. He has a couple neat videos on the Echo series of games for the Genesis. You should really go check him out. Mr. Boffcakes. That's Mr. Baffacakes. He's a really cool guy to watch. And hey, we're talking about dolphins. Oh, look at those cool little dolphins. I wonder if they had dolphins on the ark. Could dolphins survive a global flood? I don't know. But apparently Ken Ham thinks they did. And Ken Ham asks us. This is written by him. Ken, to block you if you have to. Cam. I can't even talk. It's fine. Dolphins. Designed or adapted by evolution. What does that mean? Oh, there should be a comma like right there. The question is, are they designed or have they evolved? Because that's a different thing you just asked there, Ken. Because you're asking basically were they designed by evolution or adapted by evolution. And neither of those makes any sense, Ken. Punctuation is important when you write the title to an article. And this is what Ken writes. One of our supporters recently sent us a photo of an exhibit at a major U.S. metropolitan zoo. Presumably this picture. The sign at this exhibit says the dolphins were both designed for the depths. I can't see where it says designed. Let's find out in a moment. And perfectly adapted for life in the water. Since apparently it's National Dolphin Day today, April 14th. Is that today? Am I relevant? Holy shit, hold the presses. I thought I'd share the photo with you. Well, let's look at the photo. A dolphin's backbone is long and flexible. Yes, it is. This allows it to maneuver quickly while hunting fish, swimming, or avoiding hungry predators. Okay, nothing about design there. Let's see if we can find the context of this design. Dolphins also have a flexible rib cage. This helps temporarily collapse their lungs, aiding in deep water dives. This is not dangerous, but instead pushes the air from their lungs, keeping them from getting the bends. Yeah, that's a good thing that dolphins can do that because they live in the water, like human divers do. Yeah, the bend sucks. It's when you get too much oxygen in your blood because air pressure. Check out these teeth. Dolphins don't something, but definitely nothing about being designed for the depths. Common bottlenose dolphins are perfectly adapted for life in the water. I wish I could read that. Dolphins don't chew their food. In fact, they swallow it whole. Cord something for helping dolphins something. I really wish I could read that. Anyway, maybe the magic can help me read it. No, it's way too blurry. Oh, but it says design for the depths right there because I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, but that's not really how it means design, but Ken doesn't understand these subtleties. And again, if it were a snake, it would have bit me because I'm a fucking genius. All right. Evolutionists. Again, Ken, that ain't how it works. When it says design for the depths, it means that it grew in that environment and that it happens to have a form that fits very well into it. It doesn't mean literally that someone drew up plans for a fucking dolphin machine and said, "Yup, I'm going to put this in the water." Ken, you can't honestly think that and be sane, I don't think. But what'll I know? I just wear a funny hat. You don't even have one. And you're the one from Australia. Evolutionists often try to explain evolution by claiming... we claim stuff that we have evidence for, yeah? Sure. I'm not an evolutionist because that's not a thing, but alright. That the evolutionary process supposedly designed... It didn't design, it selected for. I can see where you don't like the word they used there, Ken. It triggered you. Ken is like religiousistic, which is like autistic, but a religion. A particular creature for its environment. And I can make that joke because I'm probably halfway there anyway. I was probably born there. I get triggered very easily by smells and shit. I'm socially abject, or whatever you call it. If I were diagnosed, I would probably have a diagnosis of autism. I can make these jokes. Or not. You can be offended. I don't care. Unless I really do. Because when you start your fucking sentence with a but, that's a conjunction. Not a sentence starter, Ken. But naturalistic evolutionary processes are random. Kind of. They're random within the subset of things they can be. And purposeless. Yup. The fact that things evolve to live in the environments they're a part of is completely without purpose. Cause and effect means nothing to you, does it, Ken? That's why you have no sense of justice. They couldn't design anything, right? That's why it's selection pressures, Ken. We're not arguing with you here. It's not design. The sign just is using design in a different way than you feel comfortable with. So, suck it up, Buttercup, and deal with the fact that words don't always mean whatever you strawman them to mean. And Johnny says, "Conjunction junction, what's your function?" Yeah, that was fun stuff back in the day. I don't remember. Schoolhouse Rock. Fun times. And that's actually where I remember that from, now that I'm thinking about it. Because adverbs, adjectives, conjunctions, they're like trains. And if you don't steer them correctly, you will wreck someone's life. as Ken is trying to do here, because Ken does not understand artistic license or poetic license. Ken only understands somebody wrote it down, so it must absolutely be what they exactly think. Even I am not that anal retentive, and I have to take fiber every day. But let that one sink in for a minute, because the Keystone is too good. No, it isn't, but it's a good lie. Well, what they mean by adaptation is that dolphins have somehow acquired new information. No, that's not what adaptation means. And adaptation isn't exactly what you think it means here either, Ken. We're going to tell you this again, but you blocked me on Twitter, so you're not going to hear it. Because you don't want to hear information that doesn't agree with you. You blocked me because I asked you why Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 don't agree. You never answered me. We never had a discussion here. And now I'm going to keep grilling you, much like you're grilling this dolphin. But no. What they mean by adaptation is that the offspring have the ability to live in the environment in which they happen to have come up through evolutionarily. Adaptation means that they don't have fingers anymore because the fingers were kind of useless and the selection pressures didn't select for them. The selection pressures were much better at selecting for the offspring that had fins. And so now most of the offspring that live in the ocean, i.e. dolphins, have fins. We're their fairly close relatives, and we don't have fins because we have arms and fingers and stuff. And that's because we didn't need fins on land. And suddenly the hands were much more useful in allowing us to get to breeding age so that we could repopulate. And then our offspring tended to have fingers. And then through a few random mutations, as you would call them, the fingers tended to get a little longer until they were eventually kind of what you see today on the end of your arm, Ken. Into their genes. I can see what Ken's thinking about getting into some genes here. Resulting in numerous new characteristics over long periods of time. Correct. Enabling it, the species, not the individual, to survive and thrive in the water in their current forms. Yeah, basically. Yes, Ken. That's like the best sentence you've written, and it's a half a sentence. But we get a but again at the beginning of the sentence. No natural process, natural selection is the natural process. We can break it down piece by piece, Ken. I just did. I know it's very subtle and you don't like subtle things, but you're going to have to slow down. Maybe let your beard grow out while you think about it, because it'll probably take that long. Your beard will be longer than mine by the time you grasp it. But no natural process. That's right, we don't know about evolution, folks. None of us knows about it. That's why nobody has ever written a book about it, and Ken Ham isn't arguing about it. Nope, we don't know about this. We don't know about it. And that's why Ken Ham has made his living arguing over it, because we don't know about it. This natural process, we don't have any clue. That's why Ken Ham certainly knows about it and can write about it, because nobody knows about it. It's not known. It's a natural process that nobody knows about. Ken Ham, you are a disingenuous fucktard. Can produce the genetic information needed to form brand new structures. Well, they're not brand new, Ken. They're adapted and evolved as the generations increase their progeny. Ken, you can't be this stupid. You know what would be brand new is an idea from you that makes sense. Like those required to supposedly turn a land mammal into a dolphin. You got it backwards, Ken. Although it could be convergent evolution, I guess. But no, we didn't go from a land mammal to a dolphin. The land mammals and the dolphins have a common ancestor who was very probably a fish. And the fact that you cannot understand this, Ken, speaks more to your inability to learn than it does to anything else. You do not understand how evolution works because you don't even understand. What you're saying is basically, well, I can't give birth to my mother, so I didn't have a mother. And that's how stupid you sound, Ken. Please, someone clip that and send it to him because I'm blocked. I want to know how Ken has a mother if he cannot give birth to his own literal mother. Can Ken please explain that one to me? And please, someone, take that little audio clip, send it to him, because again, I'm blocked. And I'm not driving 3 hours, like, southwest of here to go see his fucking boat that doesn't even float. I can go, like, half an hour to the nearest marina and see 100 boats that do float. I mean, I live, like, 5 minutes from one, actually. That's not the point. Ken, the boat that don't float ham in one corner, me in the other. It's not much of a fight, but oh well. From a biblical perspective, dolphins are not even mentioned. I mean, dolphins are marvelously designed. No, they're not even mentioned in the Bible. You can show me the verse where they say, dolphins are designed by God to swim in the ocean. But, you can't, because it's not there. Show me the one that says how a dolphin's blowholes were. Why does it breathe oxygen, Ken? Why doesn't it have gills like a fish can? And I'm beginning to think you might be right. It might actually have been the thing that re-evolved and they went back into the water. But I doubt it, because I don't think they ever left the water. I think they just happened to evolve the respiratory system that we have, or something similar to it. And it just works. You notice they're not dying by having it. That's all evolution really means. And their kind has adapted slightly to their environment. But Ken, if evolution isn't real, your kinds cannot change. Ken. This is what you don't understand, Ken. If evolution is wrong, then your species have to be exactly as they are and have ever always been. Otherwise, evolution is actually real. And your God created it. And you don't seem to like those two ideas together. You cannot accept that God created things that evolve. But they've adapted, Ken, so explain to me. What adaptation, what kind of God would create lungs of those of a, like, land animal, mammal, marsupial, whatever, and then stick the fucker underground? Or rather, in the water. To live its entire life there. Like, what if we forced you to live underwater, Ken? You have the same respiratory system as they do. But for some reason, you're not going down and coming back up for air every hour. Even though you claim that these structures should be brand new in you from the second you were born, even if your mother doesn't have them. Because that's how you think evolution works, and you are wrong, Ken. You see, in Genesis we read that God created the sea creatures. No, it doesn't actually, it doesn't actually read like that. To reproduce according to their kind. No, Ken. He didn't create the seas before Genesis 1:21. It even says, oh, your version is a little different. Let's see what yours says. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves. So it does say sea creatures. It's too bad the dolphins live in the ocean, Ken. Did your God know the difference between seas and oceans? I don't think he said. With which the waters abounded. Oh, but it doesn't say your God actually created two different kinds of water, Ken. How very strange that your God wouldn't know about the oceans he created for your dolphins to live in. God created the dolphin kind. Now, it doesn't say that. It says sea creatures. But the ocean is not the sea. Which your God really should have known. Which includes dolphins, pilot whales, killer whales, and more. Or it doesn't, actually. Because they're ocean animals, not sea animals. They're not river animals, Ken. Because the sea animals include, like, trout. With a tremendous amount of genetic variability. So they can evolve. So it could spread out and fill the oceans. So these genetic variables, does every offspring have all of them all at once? Or do just some of the offspring get them, and eventually some of the variability goes away? It's almost like you're trying to describe evolution without trying to describe evolution. Ken, I don't understand. And you blocked me on Facebook. I mean, Twitter. So I'm just going to keep tearing you a new one with every bit of the stupid you keep putting out. So it could spread out. So what could spread out? The kind? But you just said God created the kinds. Why do they have to spread out and fill the oceans? Why do they need the genetic variability if God created them to live specifically in the seas and oceans? Ken, there's no variability needed if God, designed them. They don't need variability because God designed them to do the very thing they're doing. Ken, you do not understand the words you're using, and you look like a fool. God didn't create each individual dolphin species. Then that means they're evolving. And it means he didn't design them if he didn't create them, Ken. So you're saying there are species alive today that God did not create. Ken, come on. These are a result of limited adaptation. No, Ken. Again, you're describing the process of natural selection. You just don't want to call it natural selection. And I don't understand why. Based on the immense genetic variability God built into their genes. Unless, of course, he just built it into the original stuff that was in the abiogenesis, when the chemical soup produced the amino acids that eventually created us. And from that, God actually created the material itself to create the genes. But then again, your God didn't actually create those things if he didn't create them. Ken, you just cited Genesis 1:21. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves. Every living thing that moves. Ken, but you're saying God didn't create every living thing that moves in the dolphin species. Which is it, Ken? Theist or not, Christian or not, you do not make any sense. And you're not going to convert anyone by not making any sense 2 sentences apart. Ken. Only around 6,000 years ago. No, now you're just full of shit. But, and so many buts to start your sentences with. If anyone needs a spare but, when you laugh one off from listening to me, Ken has you covered. Just don't tell him I sent you, apparently. Or he'll just give you more buts. Yeah, that's exactly how he describes evolution. I don't get it either. This isn't evolution, no. It's evolution, but it's not evolution. Because God created everything except for the shit he didn't create. Because that makes sense. This is difficult. Dolphins produce dolphins. Except when they don't. Anyway. It's variation within a kind. Tell me who would want to be such an asshole. I'm not good at Modest Mouse. That's not the point. And this variation comes from information that was already placed there by God from the very beginning. Or, you're just full of shit, Ken, and you know it. Because you can't be this intellectually dishonest and not be aware of it. I don't think. Especially you being you, Ken. You're blocking people who ask you questions about these things. I genuinely have a desire to know, Ken. If you can convert me, do it. But you can't, so you blocked me. I still have you unblocked, Ken. Come on, let's have a debate. You didn't take on Bill Nye. You won't be able to take on me. We can have the debate. You can think you won. But, no, Ken. Bill Nye went very nice on you. He shouldn't have. He should have put you in your place. But he's too nice. I'm not. Beer. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for praying. All right, dear Thor, please get together with Quetzalcoatl. We pray. Let Ken Ham know that his religion is shit. In the name of Marduk, we pray. Grapes of Wrath, amen, or something. I don't fucking know. This item was written with the assistance of AIG's research team. What a crack team they are. The research is someone sends them a photo and then they talk about it. Research. But let's go ahead and talk about this from the Star Tribune. I was redirected to this from InfoWars. Minneapolis Muslims protest Sharia vigilante in Cedar Riverside area. I guess this is in some state that I'm not familiar with. Star Tribune. I don't know where they're even out of, but it's one of the United States. So this fella here has a patch on the side of his arm that says, General Presidency of Religious Affairs and Welfare of the Ummah Religious Police. So, Abdullah Rashid, 22, a Georgian native who moved to Cedar Riverside last year, which I think is in one of the Minneapolis, Minnesota. All right. And welfare of the Ummah. Yeah, I did get it right. All right, sweet. He's trying to enforce what he calls the civil part of the Sharia law. You're in America, son. Act like an American. You cannot go around telling people what your religion prescribes and then expecting them to believe it. I am atheist, but I could just as easily say I'm deist. And my deity says you should just not do this, so don't do it. You see how this works, Abdullah? I presume Abdullah is your given name. But you could be backwards like half the world, or maybe our half the world's backwards. I don't know. A man trying to impose what he calls the civil part of the Sharia law in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis has sparked anger among local residents and Muslim leaders, as he very well should. If you're going around telling people that your religion prohibits something, therefore you shouldn't do it, then he can go fuck himself. This is America. This is not a Sharia state. If you don't like living in America under American laws where people can do things that conflict with your religion, then go to Syria. Go to Afghanistan. Go somewhere to one of the countries where the Sharia law is in place and live there. I do not take kindly to you telling me how I should live based on your creed that has no relevance to the law. Do you understand, sir? For when you try to undermine American law, you become an insurgent, sir. And I wouldn't want to see you do that on accident. Abdullah Rashid, 22, a Georgian native, who moved to this place last year, has been making the rounds in the Somalia. Why don't you go back to Somalia, sir? If you want a place where Sharia is, go to Somalia. I'm in a neighborhood telling people not to drink. Suck it up, Buttercup. Use drugs. Depending on what they are, I might agree with you, but not because the law says no. Or interact with the opposite sex. Look here, bro. I'm not into, sex anyway. I'm asexual. But if it would piss you off, I would just go around, hanging out with ladies all the time. I mean, I do that sometimes. I could do it more often if it'll really piss you off. Because it's legal. And again, if you don't like it, if you don't like me talking to women, if you don't like women talking to me, then go back to your country where it's not legal. And let the women come here without killing them. Hashtag save Dina Ali. If he sees Muslim women he believes are dressed inappropriately, he can shut his fucking mouth. He approaches them and suggests they should wear a jilbab. I guess, which is a... Fuck you, Star Tribune. I don't need to know this shit. a long flowing garment, and he says he's recruiting others to join the effort. Another fucking advertisement. You really gotta rethink how you do ads, newspapers online. But local Muslim leaders are sounding the alarm. Well, at least they are logical. This guy is an extremist. Not a violent one yet, but he is an extremist. Apparently, I agree with the Muslim leaders here. They are working to stop Rashid's group, general presidency, and so forth, and have notified Minneapolis police. Good job. See, these Muslim leaders, they are Americans. They understand that their religion does not dictate our law. In the same way that my religion does not dictate our law. Even though I don't have one now. I used to be Christian. But again, my religion should not dictate the law. I have notified Minneapolis police who say he's being banned from a particular property. Some say the group is preying on vulnerable young Muslims in a community that has dealt with national scrutiny around radicalization and terrorism. Good job. I'm glad. Here are the actual Muslims speaking out against the radicals. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen enough. But this is a good start. I'm not going to decry that. Apparently, I agree with these fellows, at least to that extent. So, good job, local Muslim leaders, for pointing out the extremism and reporting it to the relevant authorities. That is commendable. What he's doing is wrong and doesn't reflect the community at all. Except that it unfortunately kind of does because of this, but yeah, it doesn't reflect the community you identify with, which I appreciate. Said Jailani Hussain, executive director of the Minnesota chapter of the Council on American and Islamic Relations. Again, not the greatest group, but in this instance, they appear to be doing the right thing. Minneapolis police received reports in February from concerned residents who saw Rashid in a dark green uniform that said Muslim Defense Force. Yeah, again, if you want to defend Muslims, go do so where they're receiving lashings for apostasy law violations. Muslims are pretty well defended in this country. I even defend your right to say stupid things, but not to impose your law, your religion, on other people. And had 2 flags associated with ISIS and other terrorist groups. I'll be damned, those do actually look like ISIS flags. That guy might be crazy. And then an FBI guy didn't want to comment. But yeah, you get the idea. And he got his permit to carry denied, which is probably a really good thing. And let's go down here to this part where we talk about him. Rashid, who initially said he was working with Minneapolis police, so he lied, just like that guy that shot the Trayvon Martin. Said he is continuing his effort to provide security and protect Muslim civil rights, except the ones he disagrees with. Like even those imams who are saying that you are doing the wrong thing are still reporting you to the police to protect your rights and the rights of other Muslims in the area. You, on the other hand, are going around and telling them how they should live and revoking their civil rights, like choosing how to dress. Sir, I don't care about your religion. Again, have one. I don't care. If you want to exercise it here, you can do it personally. You cannot infringe upon other people's rights to practice. There are 4 churches in the town where I live here, and they're all perfectly allowed to operate. If I wanted to open a service here for non-denominational, non-Christians, even non-theists, and they wanted to shut me down, I would be telling them the same things I'm telling you. But again, I think they're as reasonable as the Muslim leaders we talked about earlier. And I think you are the extremist. He has said he has enlisted a group of 10 men ages 18 to 25 to help him patrol the area. See, now you're creating a faux military organization whose main aim is to implement Muslim law and be independent of American law. The only people afforded that kind of status in this country, and even when they are given it, it is done so dubiously, are the Native Americans who have never had a history of blowing people up or shooting up nightclubs. You see what the problem is here. The Native Americans don't engage in honor killings. They have their own tribal governments. But your Muslim one is not one of them. Abide the law, or go to somewhere it is the law as you want it. And again, if you're going to go to the place, if there are other people who don't want to live in your country, let them leave. Hashtag Free Raif Badawi. But again, meanwhile, some in the community are confused about what Rashid is doing. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not confused at all. I'm pretty straightforward that he's doing something really fucking stupid. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. I can understand why some people would be confused about it. Especially if you don't have this nice article right in front of you to consult. And to say, oh, this is what he's doing, and he's just a crazy guy. Or appears to be, at the very least. Salma Mohammed, a mother of 4, met with him recently at Brian Coyle Community Center seeking advice on a custody case. Which, again, go with the Southern Poverty Law Center or something. A friend had referred her to Rashid, unaware of his controversial activities. Fair enough. She was startled by his uniform, she said, and his talk about terrorism and the young Muslim men who were convicted of trying to join ISIS. Convicted, mind you. The same people we just dropped the Moab on. Do you see the problem? Abdullah. You're never going to see this video, Abdullah, but I'm talking to you as though you were here. Abdullah, it is not your right to impose your religion upon other people, to impose your honor killings, and your apostasy laws, and your archaic dress code upon anyone you feel like. Your right is to live by our American laws or get the fuck out of our country. If you don't like the federal and state laws, move. That's your rights. That's the same rights as any other citizen in this country has. If you don't like it, the Geneva Convention says you get to move to another country of your choice. Pretty much. The UN Agreement on Human Rights basically says the same thing too. Even though the Muslim countries who actually follow Sharia don't follow the UN Agreement or the Geneva Convention in this regard. Again, hashtag Save Dina Ali. But that's all the more I feel like saying about it. I think I've brought it to your attention. You can approach that however you like. If you know people that live in Minnesota, perhaps petition them to contact their governor about this. Or statesman or whomever. Because now we're going to Huffington Post, where we just keep getting better. And this is from the Huffington Post, South Africa, I believe. The blog. Could it be time to deny white men the franchise? I don't know, lady. What the fuck does that mean? This is updated 5 hours ago. So it is fresh, like a meme from the needles. I mean, that is the plan. This is not the meme review, but you could probably turn that picture into a meme. That face win, they take away the men's voting rights. This redistribution of the world's wealth is long overdue. No, go work for it, you lazy fuckers. You want a factory job like I have? Come here and earn it. And it is not just South Africa. I'll come there if that makes you happier. I'll still outwork you because I'm a hell of a worker. Where white males own a disproportionate amount of wealth. Suck it up, Buttercup. You know, I don't own a disproportionate amount of wealth. But some white guys have a lot more of it than I do. And some black guys have a lot more of it than I do. And some Chinese guys have a hell of a lot more of it than I do. Get over it. Some people just don't have as much wealth. Some people are disadvantaged. You know, life, it's almost like it ain't fair. I'm sorry you had to hear this. That's triggering. Trigger warning. This is not a safe space. Yeah, some people tend to be wealthier. Some of them are white. Some of them are Saudi, because Saudi is the richest country in the world. But don't bring that up. That would ruin your narrative or something. Wouldn't that be the fucking end of the world? Holy shit. I'm becoming one of these fucking MRAs. Apparently. Some of the biggest blows the progressive cause in the past year have often been due to the votes of white men. Yeah, fuck them white men for going out and exercising their right to vote when you won't go out and vote. Why is it my fault because I'm white and male and I vote that you are not white, you are not male, and you choose not to vote? Why is that my fault? What can I do to get you to the polls? To the voting booth? What can I do to make you come out and check a little box? I realize there's corruption in your country, but there's country that I live in also has corruption. Get over it. Go vote. If white men were not allowed to vote, it is unlikely the UK would be leaving the EU. That's right, white men caused Brexit. Holy shit, that is stupid. You're right, more women should have gone to vote. Not my fault you didn't. It is unlikely that Donald Trump would now be the president of the United States. Again, suck it up, Buttercup. Go vote. Don't bitch about me voting when you're not voting. We can get the voter statistics, but I'm not doing it right now. And it is unlikely that the Democratic Alliance would now be governing 4 of South America's biggest cities. I know nothing about that. But then again, you're talking about all these places as though they're exactly the same. So fuck you, I will too. I'm going to get so many advertisements when I say fuck so much. I don't even care. I'm doing this for the fun, not for the advertisements. So, if white men no longer had the vote, the progressive cause would be strengthened. So you're saying the progressive cause is fundamentally a women's cause. But the women aren't actually going out and doing anything about it. I wonder. It would not be necessary to deny white men indefinitely. Right, just take away their suffrage for a while. Remember how that worked out when the women didn't have the vote in America? Yeah, let's just take away the women's vote on things that men disagree with women on. That's how democracy works, isn't it? Man, you're so corrupt you don't even realize that your government's corrupt. Holy shit. The denial of the vote to white men for 20 years. Fuck you. You can rot in a prison like Nelson Mandela. For all I care. If you want to take away anyone's right to vote, you can get fucked. Would go some way to seeing a decline in the influence of reactionary and neoliberal ideology in the world. Or, you could just convince more women and people of color to fucking vote. I mean, come on. The influence of reckless white males. Yeah, the guys who go out to the polling stations and stand in line to cast their votes. And who do so in a peaceful manner, known as democracy. But yeah, the reckless white males were one of the primary reasons that led to the Great Recession. No, which began in 2008. No, the Great Recession was approximately 1929. You daft cunt. Lady, look at you. You. You're an MA, what is that, a Masters of fucking Assholes philosophy student? I don't know. Shelley Garland, look at her. She looks like a stereotypical feminist. Is an activist and a feminist. I was right. And is currently completing an MA, Masters of Assholes degree in philosophy. I don't know what MA stands for. Masters of the arts, I guess? Well, at least it's not a scientific degree, I guess. When she's not gagging, ha. Oh, okay. You win. Did you write this yourself, Mrs. Garland? That's wonderful. At South Africa's unique brand of rainbow politics. Oh my goodness, what does that even mean? Is she calling it gay in disguise or something? Rainbow politics. What does it mean? It's fucking magic. It's a miracle. She's working on ways to smash the patriarchy. Including the patriarchy that wrote the Unix operating system that 90% of your internet runs on, without which you wouldn't be able to spread your message. It's not our fault that Linus Torvalds wrote Linux. Linus, whatever. It's not our fault that mostly men have been in those fields, because mostly women haven't wanted to go into those fields. But yeah, smash the patriarchy, right? Fuck them. We don't need all the shit men have done. That's why you're using a computer that probably runs on Windows. Because fuck Bill Gates, right? Or you're using an Apple. Steve Jobs is dead. I shouldn't talk ill of the dead, but, fuck him too. But anyway, that's gonna be about it for today. If you enjoyed that, I guess, hit the thumbs up or something. If you didn't, click the thumbs down. I don't care. If you want to leave a comment, do that. The chat was open. Johnny said several things here, and we had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. That's an hour. That's a long time to watch a video. So thank you for tuning in, my 2 or 3 viewers who checked this out. Thanks again, Johnny, for hanging out in the comments and listening. And I will catch you all next time, because, as always, this has been Reverend JR, signing off.